Hi, this is Eric Stromquist. Welcome to episode 312 of Control Talk Now, your smart buildings video cast and podcast for the week ending April 21st, 2019. It is Easter Sunday. It is Passover, so very special holiday. Wishes to everybody out there that's celebrating. We got a big show this week. The man, the myth, the legend is still missing. We're not exactly sure where he is, but he's probably on a mission from God. If not, he's doing some consulting work for GSA, or he might be doing a fashion shoot for Ralph Lauren. If you remember last week, we had a contest, so go back and check that show out. We don't have a winner yet, so we'll sweeten the prize if you go to the YouTube channel and get this right. But again, you'll have to go to last week's episode to see what your choices are. I'll add in a $50 Amazon gift card to whoever gets that right. You heard me right. That's it. Okay, so we got a lot of stuff going on this week. A lot of travel. May is going to be a busy, busy month for us. Our first stop is going to be up at Cochrane at ControlCon. That's May 2nd and 3rd. After that, we go down to San Diego for Haystack Connect. And then after that, we're off to England for Easy I/O. So listen, if we see you at any of these meetings, please come up and speak. We'd love, absolutely love to have a chance to meet you. It always jazzes us when we meet people that listen to the show, so that would be awesome. Listen, we're going to take a deep dive into Project Haystack tonight. We got John Petsy and Mark Peacock coming on the show, and actually this is something Kenny and I recorded before he went out, or before he went MIA, I should say. Poor Ralph Lauren called him. Hope I didn't give that away. But so we're going to take a deep dive with those guys and really get into Project Haystack and why that makes a lot of sense. If you haven't heard of it yet, it's something you're going to want to know about. It is, I think, going to change the way we do controls, definitely the way we do data. And if you understand this, you're going to have a huge competitive advantage when it comes to doing data analytics and helping your customers with that. Okay, so without further ado, here is Kenny and I talking to John Petsy and Mark Peacock.
I'd love to, Eric. We got two very important people with us, very well-recognized faces from the industry. We have John Petsy, partner at Sky Foundry, and we have Mark Peacock, who is the Vice President of Global Marketing and Communications at Linkspring. Welcome to the show, guys.
Welcome, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks.
Good to be here.
Good to be here.
Well, listen, I don't want to give it away, but it's like we're going to try to find a haystack and a needle here because, among other things, we want to talk about Haystack. And again, Mark, your company, Linkspring, is just doing some incredible stuff at the control level. And you guys are using, Haystack as part of what you guys do. John, I think anybody that knows anything about analytics and rules-based use of data with Sky Foundry, you guys use sort of from a software side, but for our community who might not know, how about give them a thumbnail sketch exactly what Haystack is and why it's so important?
Yeah, let's start there. And we really appreciate being on the program so we can make sure the audience is aware. But every 2 years, the Project Haystack organization hosts a conference, trade show. And it's coming up in May, let's see, 13th, 14th.
May 13th,
13th through 15th. Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
So it's a premier event of the community. Now, the Haystack community is an open source initiative that was started back in 2011 to solve one of the challenges we have with the data that comes out of equipment systems. And that challenge is that the data that comes out of all these different systems is not well defined. It's not well marked up. It's not easily interoperable. And so the organization got started to come up with a standardized approach to tagging data so that we all mark up our data, add the descriptors in the same way so that I can read the data out of your system, your building, your software application, and my software can immediately interpret it. And so we launched this effort in 2011, and by 2013, we had our first Haystack Connect event. That's what it's called. And of course, you guys were there helping us support that very first event. And in 2013, I think most of the people who showed up had no idea why they were there. They came because people encouraged them to, and they wanted to learn. But the whole organization and the effort has matured tremendously since then. This is our fourth biannual meeting, and we have major sponsors and speakers, and it's all about making data easier to work with across applications. Historically, the data you had in your control system, it was in your control system and it was nowhere else, and it couldn't easily be used other places. And what the haystack community with the haystack standards are doing is making it easy for data to be portable, easily used, and taken advantage of. And there's a lot of technology to it, but there's a lot of learning around, what does it mean to work with data from different systems, and what are the key issues and principles involved. So.
Well, and I just want to hop in and say for our owners out there listening, what this really translates to from your perspective is you're going to be able to get this inexpensively. It wasn't that you couldn't get the data and usable data before, it was just expensive to do it. So if you're an owner, you definitely want to be paying attention. You want to make sure that your consulting engineer is specifying and asking for haystack tags. If you're an integrator, you better know about this and how to use it, because otherwise you're not going to be price competitive when people try to use the data. And if you're a manufacturer, you want to make sure that you're incorporating this. So there is something there for everybody. This is not limited to one set of people in the whole smart building control side. It's really for everybody, right?
And that's a good point on the manufacturer. So sorry, Mark, but this will be one of the years where numerous manufacturers are standing up and showing how they're integrating. One of the things some of the audience may know and others may not is that the Haystack organization's been working directly with the BACnet committee for the last year to integrate those standards, and that's extended the standard and the capability of Haystack further beyond what had been done in the past. And we had a really exciting part of the conference this year. We call it Pitch Fest. Think of Shark Tank. For people in our industry, and we have 11 different companies that will be pitching their new commercial products that focus on helping this tagging effort, and open source projects. We see more members coming together to launch other open source efforts to break down these barriers so that we can all get to the future of truly intelligent buildings and have data flow easily and seamlessly across all these different products.
And I think, to your point, Eric, and obviously John expanded on it, is that Haystack now is not just for one group. It truly serves and is a valuable effort for the building owners and the operators, the integrators and contractors, as well as the OEMs. And as the organization, Project Haystack Org, has continued to further refine and develop itself and expand, we're really seeing a lot of different efforts in and around these groups coming together based on data. And a term or a phrase that John and I have been using going back, I think about 2-3 years, is that the data today is more valuable and worth a lot more than the device itself. And I think that is, again, one of the major elements in which this whole Project Haystack Org and Haystack Connect is centered around, is that importance of the data. And John mentioned interoperability. And I personally believe that that is one of the biggest challenges we have in the built environment, is not getting the data. I think we all can agree that getting the data is fairly routine. It's not that difficult anymore. It's, again, tagging, modeling, and all that, but making that interoperable between all the different systems, as well as the different audiences who want to use that data, whether you're in the C-suite, a CFO, you may have one sets of data, to a facility manager, to so forth, an integrator, and so forth and so on. So this whole interoperability thing is one of the key areas in which the Project Haystack initiative is solving today.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead,
John.
Well, I just want to pick up on that point. I want to joke a little bit about, Mark just said that the data becoming more valuable than the devices themselves. And when I have a chance to speak, I was at an AEE meeting a while ago. I often hit people with that, and then I be quiet for a second, and I can see the perplexed look on their face. And wait, the data is more valuable than the device? How could that be, right? I said, well, what's a VAV a controller cost? Okay. Pick a number, $250, $300, right? Okay. What will it cost you if you run that VAV box wrong for a year? Right? And they say, well, okay, it's a small device. Okay, well, it's, let's talk about the chiller. Oh, chiller, yeah, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars. What will it cost if you run that wrong for a year? Right? And what's the key to making sure that doesn't happen? It's the data. So it brings out, kind of two things. One, kind of try to shock people and understand how important the data is. But that's what we have to do, is change our mind about how we are going to use data to improve facility operations. And once we care about that and try to do that, we run headlong into this problem of the data from all these different systems, even if you can get it over, BACnet or OPC or Modbus, it has no meaning if you can't talk to the person who set it up. What is this point? What does it mean? Is it the supply temperature, the return? What is it, right? And that's where the work and the cost comes in. And that's exactly what Haystack was created to solve, is we're going to need to add tags to describe what we mean by the data. Let's all do it with the same tags. So if you say that's an AHU discharge air temp sensor, my software instantly can recognize that and use it. And this is, in the world of software, it's referred to as the semantic web. This idea of data has to have meaning is really revolutionizing many of the things we do in our life with software, with handheld devices or whatever, that makes it appear seamless to the human being. Behind that is semantic information that the software can interpret.
Well, John, let me make sure I get this right, because I might have misunderstood something. If I have, then you guys need to correct me now. But my understanding was Kenny wants to call it air handler unit Uno. I go AHU1 and Mark goes A1, but all those things equate to a Haystack tag right here. So we can call it 9,000 different things that mean this one thing, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
The tags describe what it is. And I guess, I thought one of the best analogies was actually one John Sublett at Tritium did a couple of years ago. And he says, my name's John Petsy. That's my name. That doesn't tell you everything about me. The other things are the attribute, what my job is, what my title is, where I live, what I like to do. Those are facts about me that will tell you more about me, right? Well, the tags are facts about that thing that may have 9 different names, but we all know it's the same thing. You call your points one thing. So it's not a standard naming convention. I'm glad you brought that out, because that'll never happen. People need to name things the way they need to for their own reasons, but that doesn't mean we can't add tags that describe exactly what it is. And that's one of the first levels of understanding that we get to with people. And I thought the person example was good.
It's a great example.
There's attributes about me that go, you can't put that all in my name, right? Any more than you can put all this information in a point name in a BAS system. You can't. The name would be miles and miles long.
Well, I want to chime in here. I want to first congratulate you on achieving maximum stable datum. People, it's always fun to hear you talk, John, because, you really, really put the message out in a very simple terms. I've watched probably 20 times in front of various groups of people explain it, and you'll still see aha moments amongst the crowd where it's still not getting, disseminated. But I've seen tremendous depth and penetration. I know in the Western Pennsylvania area and West Virginia, where we do a lot of traffic, there's people are really coming around and asking about Haystack, talking about Haystack.
Yeah.
And so,
we see it in specifications now. And it's not because Mark and I convinced them. It's because people have come to the awareness that if I'm going to have an intelligent building, which is going to have multiple different systems from multiple different vendors, by default, there's no way around that, right? Then the data has to be easily interchangeable, or the cost barrier to getting an intelligent building will be too great. Right?
It's, in addition to the cost, it's the time factor.
Yeah.
Because, being able to understand all that data and then try to put it together without tags, without modeling, without some kind of cohesiveness will take you, much, much longer to do than if it's already, already done for you as the data is being generated.
Okay, so Mark, I got to chime in here, Mark and John, and I'm going to hit you guys with something you're probably not expecting. But PETA, the people about the animals, they are really up in arms about this whole Haystack tagging thing, because they are afraid you're going to make an animal called a link monkey extinct. How do you respond to that?
That's the thing. Haystack doesn't force how you define things; it lets you define things.
Exactly.
So if an animal exists, we can come up with tags that describe all the factors about it. It has 4 legs or 6. right? Or
A tail
100
or no tail.
centimeters.
Well, and what I was referring to, guys, was when I went to that first haystack meeting, and it was one of Kenny's customers who, was talking about how much easier it was going to be, because his term for the people that actually had to link the disparate data up that weren't tagged right,
Yeah.
he called himself a link monkey, meaning he had to look at this piece of data and then link it to this piece of data. And then that was where the cost ran way up, because every single piece of data, and what you guys eliminate that. So the link monkeys are going to become extinct because you don't have to do that if you adopt.
Yeah, no, good point. I had missed that's what you're getting at. They call them data wranglers, link monkeys, whatever. But you bring up a good point, and I'm going to tie this together with what Kenny said about aha moments. So, I have this role in trying to educate people about Haystack, and one day I get a phone call from a consulting engineer that I've talked to a number of times, even did a presentation, and it's like, John, I get it. I mean, that's how the call started. I'm like, hi, excuse me? He goes, I get it.
Nice.
You get what? I get why tagging is important. I go, great. How come? What happened? He goes, I'll tell you what happened. We help specify advanced, intelligent building applications, and we put out a spec, and we got these prices that shocked us. And so I went back to those contractors and I said, you got to break it down for us. And what they said is that some of the things they needed to do to make intelligent building, which was to link the data between, was 70% of the engineering cost.
Wow.
Before they even got to the stuff that had any visible value to anybody.
Wow.
70% on non-productive, no value added end result work. And he said, now I get it. And they've been a strong supporter. But it does take those aha moments. As I say, if you haven't encountered the problem of making the data work across systems, then it's hard to appreciate how important Haystack is. So,
well, I wanted to transition a little bit towards the show and why people should go, and y'all did a great job about there's 5 critical reasons: gain important knowledge and insights from practitioners on the leading edge of data-driven intelligent facilities. 2, explore solutions at a sponsor showcase. 3, network with other industry experts, is what really is great dissemination of information and examples. 4, influence the future of the industry. And 5, location. Now, I think that this is a home run here, because it's 1 plus a grand slam, because that location is incredible. My daughter lives not far.
You missed item 6, the interoperable blues band. But let me give you
and 7, Control Trends will be there.
Absolutely.
And 8, Mark Peacock will be there, so Cindy Crawford might show up.
The Peacockettes are going to show up this time. Yeah.
But let me give you some examples, Ken, just some of the presentations. GE is going to be there, talk about how they have been applying Haystack to their lighting systems.
Wow.
Now, we know that they've been working on that. They're going to take the stage in one of the sessions and talk about the work they've done. You're going to have people there bringing in open source initiatives that are doing. We've got National Renewable Energy Lab, Lawrence Berkeley Labs, and other government organizations coming and talking about what they're doing that relates to tagging, open systems, and improved, better intelligent controls in buildings. You've got Mark, why don't you talk about our keynote speaker?
Well, and again, the way the event is opening on Tuesday, we are going to have a really awesome keynote speaker. And many of you know him from his former days at IBM, a gentleman by the name of Jim Fletcher, who is now a strategic and strategy partner at Momenta Partners. And he's going to give us a view on, well, you don't know what you don't know, and really bring this whole concept of data and insight into the discussion, both from his previous days at IBM and then also working with a variety of Fortune 500 clients and customers and things like that. So that's one of the keynotes. And then on Wednesday, it's Wednesday, is that we're going to have, John mentioned earlier about how the OEMs now are adopting Haystack into some of the things. So we're going to have leading OEMs up there talking about Haystack and what they're doing from the OEM perspective. And then, also this whole idea about this pitch fest, which I'm personally extremely excited. And like Shark Tank, it's, you've got 7 minutes, pitch it and get out. Pitch, get out, pitch, get out.
Yeah.
And so it should be extremely interesting and a wide variety of different types of things in and around open source and, of course, Haystack. So, but, also we've got 3 breakout sessions. And, we've got a technical track, we've got a business track, or what we call
Applications.
real world applications. And a lot of the working groups are going to be presenting. I know one of the other there's lots of folks besides GE. Intel is going to be presenting something. Yeah. And then various members, Blink Spring, Sky Foundry, Cadero, Siemens, and so forth and so on. So it's a lot of good content. And what I like about this time around is the following, is that this is our 4th one. And I think the content is by far the best we've ever been able to put together for, including the previous 3. And there's such a wide variety for those who just want to come and learn about Haystack, who really don't know that much about it, to the folks who have been practitioners for 5, 6, 7 years now. So,
yeah, let me throw a couple of titles at you. You taking Haystack to the enterprise. How Haystack enables more efficient work order management in your CMMS. Okay, Haystack for smart cities. How Haystack enables artificial intelligence to be implemented on building system data. Right. How the value of tagging and how it's developing in Europe. We have, it looks like a European user group forming that'll hold their own meetings. The latest on NHaystack, which is the plugin for Niagara, right? Haystack in industrial applications, data centers, agriculture, and other, that are different types of applications. And then, as I said, we've got people from the various government labs talking about the future trends in fault detection and diagnostic, how they're automating campus dashboards using Haystack at National Renewable Energy Lab. And, it all just goes to show how real the use of Haystack is. And you have these practitioners who, they put their guard down and they share what they're doing, even though the room might be full of, people they compete with. It's a really collegial atmosphere.
Well, I just wanted to continue doing the name dropping session because we always, Eric and I follow trends. It's the whole thing about control trends. And we saw Haystack come, and like you said, it was a concept that it was novel, it was important, but you just wondered if it was going to catch on. And just to show the organic growth, we always say that anybody could develop an ecosystem around a product or around an idea is going to be successful because you have so much support and so many of these intersections and processions, we call them, where you came in thinking you're going to do this and all of a sudden somebody else comes along with a whole different idea that you really weren't ready for, but it's built on the same principle. So you have Key2 Act, you have J2 Innovations, Bueno KMC, Sky Foundry, Conservit, Tridium, Altura, Cadero, LinkSpring, Contemporary Controls, VASSG, BTIB, Intellistar, Global 5 Control, which give you European, the Polish folks, brilliant folks out there, and and Stack Hub. So this isn't just a passing fancy. These are major investors with major commitments, and like you said, it has a different. I guess I'd have to say that Ken St. Clair always says about the collaboration, the collaboratorial effect, is so much more dynamic and so fast than the individual pioneer or the top 5 trying to pick up the flag and carry it to the top of the hill. It never gets there, and by the time it does, the hill's moved. So when you see these really mobile, elite group of people moving at something, it's an incredible collaboration with speed.
And that goes to how we started it. When we knew there was a need for this, and we had a lot of ideas on it. But since day one, it's been positioned as open source, taking all comers, come with your ideas, come with your challenges, come and say, hey, what you've done doesn't work, here's why. Right. And in fact, that leads to one of the major focuses this year will be what's called Haystack 4. There's over the last year and a half in working with the BACNet committee and other community members to identify what are the next level of feature sets and capabilities Haystack has to have as this whole idea of semantic buildings, like the semantic web, as it advances. We're constantly learning. But the thing about it is, first, the community attitude is one of learning and extending and bringing all comers. But the technology was very uniquely designed from the ground up at the beginning to be extensible. So applications we didn't think of have fit in very well. And that's what, it takes people from different application areas to come in and say, well, how are we going to do solar systems? How are we going to do electric meters? How are we going to do this? And everybody comes in with their own area of expertise and drives the furthering of the HVAC standards and taxonomies and libraries. So.
Remarkable, yeah.
Yeah, well, so John or Mark, walk our audience through sort of the mechanics of Haystack, because again, you mentioned a taxonomy, it's a language, but just getting down to brass tacks, is it something that it's a naming convention? So if you're programming something, you use this convention? Is it a software you download and use sort of as an overlay? What exactly is Haystack from just sort of a nuts and bolts standpoint?
All right, well, first thing, let's say it's 4 different things. First of all, it was a methodology. Here's how you should approach adding descriptors to your data. And one of the key things about it is you can use it with a pencil and a yellow sheet of paper and write things down. Here's the name and here's the tags. You can use it in Excel where your columns, form your, but then you can build it into software. Right. Truly build it into software. Build it into dialog boxes. So when you define a point in a BS, the dialog box prompts you to add the tags. What is this exactly, right? So that's one thing it is. It's a methodology. The second thing it is the community, right? And this idea of working together. The third thing that it is the ending models. Okay, I'm going to take this methodology for defining a taxonomy, and I'm going to attack solar systems, air handlers, VAV boxes, electric meters, and I'm going to say, here's my proposed standard on how the tags we should have on every electric meter. And that comes to the community for consensus approval.
Gotcha.
The fourth thing that it is, go ahead, stop me.
No, we'll do the fourth thing. Then, Mark, I've got a question specifically for you from a manufacturer standpoint. Mm-hmm. Let's get the fourth thing. But this is great, okay. John. This is really good.
So the fourth thing is it's a REST API so that we can exchange data. So if I make my device Haystack compatible, I can download reference implementations for Java, C#, C++, Dart, JSON, all these different programming environments. And I can, very easily, I can make my app talk the Haystack API, right? Nice. So it's all of those things. So are there software tools to help you tag your data? Absolutely. In fact, some new ones are going to be pitched. 2 of the PitchFest people are coming with tools. Are there libraries or ontologies of devices and the tags you should use? Absolutely. That's where the working groups come in. Yeah. The standing group on air handlers is going to meet a brand new group on cybersecurity to define the tag sets necessary in a cyber environment. They've started their work and they're going to present in their working group, right? So you get at one of the things that is a little hard for people to understand about Haystack. It isn't one single thing. It's an approach, a methodology, and all the tools and community action that comes out of that so that we achieve the goal of making sure our data can work with each other.
Very great explanation. And Mark, I've got my question for you. Then I'm coming to you, and this might be what it is. Because, Mark, first of all, I want to commend LinkSpring because you were one of the first vendors to show up and support it. Okay? Mm-hmm. That tells us we're getting a lot of people from outside the industry, GE and people like Intel that are coming in that are supporting it. So from a manufacturer standpoint, why did you get on board so early? And then what does LinkSpring do with their controllers? In other words, is that prompting in your software or when you program it? Or how does LinkSpring incorporate it in your product and to use it to differentiate yourself?
Well, part A of your question, what really prompted us was, we really saw the importance of data and how that is then turning to operating and managing our buildings. And we figured, like anything else, we want to see how can we do it less expensive, how can we do it quicker, and so forth and so on. So that prompted, here's Project Haystack and methodology to help us with this data and this whole approach. And we said, that makes sense right there. We don't have to invent it. It was there, and we would be part of an interactive, dynamic community. So that's number one. Number two, our approach is we actually built a backnet to Haystack data pump, in which you can hook all that data pump into any flavor Jace, for the most part, any piece of hardware, and then immediately convert your backnet stuff into Haystack. And everything is Haystack, and right from the get-go. Plus, my grandson just came into my office. Hi.
We got to see him. Get him to come say hi to us.
Come here, say hi to the guys real quick. Sorry, guys.
No worries. Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Hi,
How's it going?
You. What's your name?
What's your name?
Ethan.
Ethan. Nice to meet you, Ethan. So how do they say hi, Control Trends community?
Say hi, Control Trends.
Hi, Control Friends.
Control Friends. I like that.
We're going to change the name to Control Trends. Love it. Thanks, Ethan.
Say goodbye.
Bye.
All right, go see Gigi, and I'll come down and see you in a minute. And then to your point, we also took it and built our data engine and visualization offering called Connection, and it's automatically Haystack. It's you take all the data and converts it right into Haystack before it even gets up to a cloud or to some type of environment. It's already tagged for you. So that's our
no, dude. That's got to be a hell of a competitive advantage. As this thing gets legs, I'm surprised everybody's not doing it. I mean, I know you
on one of the key points. Okay, the tags are in fact, they're so amazing that if you haven't encountered it, it's hard to believe it. You'll just say, "Yeah, John's excited about it. He's making stuff up." But this is what enables software to automatically interpret data and know what to do with it. For example, in our commercial product at Sky Foundry, one of our apps is an energy analysis app. It looks at the data and it goes, I know that's a meter, it's a sub-meter, it's a main meter, it's this. And the app just shows the stuff. That would have typically took work by a technician or someone installing the system. If you know what the data is, your software can automatically interpret it. You can call it AI, you can put whatever buzzword on. The result is things happen faster with less effort. We can all deliver better value to the building owner. And they didn't want to pay for this unproductive work. We just had to do it in the past. Well, now you don't. Now we can focus on the stuff that's really important. What do we want to do with that energy data? Not 10 hours of mapping it so that I can draw a graph on the screen.
And again, we said, early on in the conversation, we brought up how it does save time. To John's point, efficiencies and all of that. And it's actually remarkable when you kind of look at how much time and how much easier it is when everything is already tagged and ready to go for you via the software. So absolutely.
No, go ahead, Kenny.
No, go ahead. I was going to break a digression there, but you were saying something.
No, I was just, the analogy I was going to use is a little bit like you got a book in French, you got a book in Italian, you got a book in German, and you have to translate it to English. I mean, think about how hard that would be. And I don't think this is a far-fetched comparison. And what you're basically saying is with the Haystack tag, it would translate that for you automatically. So now it's just, all that translation is done. You don't have to translate it. And Mark, your guys with your data pump, that's huge.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mark, you want to respond to your data pump, LinkSpring's data pump?
I think we've talked enough about it. I mean,
Okay.
you want more information, go to linkspring.com. This is about Project Haystack. And,
Right. And then I'll take the mic again. The thing,
Yeah.
and that's cut you off there, Mark. I'm sorry, but the application to your point, and then just to bring some attention to a massive amount of work Sky Foundry's done with tagging, and how it's not just intelligent buildings and industrial applications, but it's agricultural, energy. Uncle Sam, the government is a big proponent of Haystack and Sky Foundry because of those extraordinary efficiencies and savings. Healthcare is now in the building, but you have 13,000 buildings under contract and over 1 billion square feet. How many years have you been doing that? So I just want to just kind of make the meteoric growth.
Yeah, so we formed, thanks. We are very excited and proud of that. We started this company in January 2009, so we just turned 10 years old.
Wow.
Brian Frank and myself will work closely together at Tritium, through the development. Brian really invented the Niagara framework, and we got together and said, what's next? Now kicking around, and I don't know, this data thing's pretty interesting. Well, yeah, this looks like fun. Let's learn about it. Hey, this is pretty cool. What do you think? I think we should start a company. Let's go do something with the data. What are we going to do? I don't know. Let's go figure it out, We went to market in 2010 with the first version of the product, and we actually had major customers buy it in its alpha phase because the idea of what you could do with data, if you applied these data science techniques to it, was amazing, quite frankly, right? So we really started going commercial in the fall of 2010 and started building out around the world. In 2011, we took our first meetings to Europe and said, come see what we're doing with data. And like I said, data has been secondary to control for the last, generation of systems, but now the data is taking precedence, right? It's where more the value is and where more the activity has to be if we're going to make truly intelligent buildings. And so we've continued to grow. We go through partner channels only. So we've developed a worldwide partner channel, and that covers. We got installations on 6 continents, including Antarctica, by the way. So I haven't visited that site yet. But yeah, so we've been good with that. But I do want to reiterate what Mark says, because it's important for both Mark and I that, when we're focused on the haystack topic, we are totally non-commercial. We are encouraging people who might be competitors with our day jobs to come in and contribute and work together and share information. It's a really collegial environment that we've been able to create with Haystack. But just to finish that on that point, Kenny, in 2011, we now have a commercial product, and one of the things we had to do to get to the point of being able to do analytics was deal with this problem of how are we going to mark up data. So we came up, Brian went to work on these ideas and he put something together, and we had something. And we were talking, he goes, this is not a competitive advantage. This is like the problem in the industry. And we ended up talking with some people at Lawrence Berkeley Labs early on. And this is late 2010 at some shows, and we told them, and they go, we agree. And we go, well, we think we have an idea on how to do that. What do you think about making it all open source? And they said, go. If we apply for funding, it'll be a year before we can join you. Just go. And we stood up Project Haystack as an open source initiative in March of 2011. So here we are, 8 years later, almost exactly. It was probably a dozen people involved there. Now we have well over 1,500 registered users, and our 4th biannual conference. So it has been rewarding. It's also been, kind of fascinating, as I would say this is the first year that the program grew on completely its own momentum, right? In past years, there's no question, Mark and I were talking to people, you want to come into, we're getting input, Intel, GE, all of these companies, BACnet, it's really amazing because it's solving problems for themselves, right? That's when something has some real traction, when the community is running ahead with it, because
it's bigger than all the individual members.
Absolutely.
Sure. Mm-hmm. And so, guys, let me ask you, what are the headwinds you're facing? Obviously there are fewer, but still, why isn't everybody doing this?
First of all, I would say it's an understanding, all right? Absolutely. And I'd relate it like this. If you work on a BS system, but you've been primarily attached to a single brand, right? You install it, you configure it with their tools, and you get data on the screen. And you don't think that much about, well, I got to pull data in from someplace else, or I got to share the data with someplace else, right? You're living in your own world, and you have the data on the screen, and there you go. You can't accomplish true intelligent buildings that way. And it isn't just control systems that are involved, right? One of the things we joke about is, where's the slot on a controller to insert an Excel spreadsheet? Because that's coming over from the asset managers. It's not all temperature data. It's data about the entire operation of the facility. It goes beyond, control data is a subset. So I think the understanding is the biggest headwind there that we face. And again, like that consultant who called me, if you run into this and you need to solve it for your business, you quickly understand what Haystack has done and why it's important. But not everybody's there. There's lots of, if you will, siloed systems out there, and there will be for many years. To me, that's the biggest. I don't know, Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's the education. And then two, when people, you're talking about data, they don't see the complexity of it, and they think they can do it themselves. And like anything else, they try 6 months, a year, and they go, oops, we can't do it. So then we get converts that are coming over and going, oh, I've heard of this haystack. Let me learn a little bit more about it. Oh, they've actually solved that. So let's make sense. I kind of equate it to when in previous lives that when we started, well, all of us, when we started talking about open in the industry.
Yeah.
And versus closed systems or proprietary, this, that, and the other. Look how long it took for that concept of open to truly become part of everyday conversations now. And this whole idea about data, the use of data, and that the data truly is more valuable than the devices themselves, is going to take a while to truly stick with everybody. But I think since our involvement, I've been involved, I wasn't involved in 2011, but 2012, I've been involved since then. I've just been amazed at the awareness that we've been able to achieve and the increase in the practitioners who are truly on board this. And, John mentioned earlier, or in our discussion, we mentioned the building owner, the operator, the system integrator, the OEM. This a whole another area, and John told that story about it, was the engineering community. And as they are beginning to look at new ways to offer additional value and services to their clients, they're looking at data, and they need to have a way to understand that data, interpret it, and then use that as a value add for them. So we're seeing the engineering community start to step up a lot more than they did 2, 3, 4 years ago.
I think another interesting aspect of the whole haystack phenomena, and we were there, I remember that we had a little anthem song or something happening here, and I thought that was very appropriate because it was just like you didn't know exactly where it was going, but it certainly was interesting, caught a lot of attention. But I think what haystack did, and the way it was portrayed, was it did an end run around the major control manufacturers, and it got to the facility managers and the building owners through different events, so people that actually, like John said, they had a business imperative that they didn't have time to mess around with arguments over protocols, didn't have time to do this. They just needed to start being better, have better operating facilities, more efficient facilities, better commercial presence, and when they saw this, they didn't have to go through brick walls to get it. They could go around with partners that were available that could bring it to them, and they could get it going real quick. So I thought that the way it hatched.
Yeah, that's very true. People were used to the open systems that were defined by protocols. And, a wire protocol has to be very specific, right? And it takes years for everybody to agree on it. And we all know the history of the backnet and stuff like that. This is different. This is a very extendable, malleable approach, methodology, right, to how we'll mark up data. And then a standard library that if you have a meter, you should follow these things. But it allowed people to get started even when things weren't complete and get value out of it. Now, the more and more complete the models are, the more and more value. But it's not like a wire protocol won't work until it all works. Haystack had value a month after it was released. We contributed everything we had developed at Sky Foundry to open source. So anyways, I wouldn't say bypass, other than we definitely encountered that major manufacturers didn't get it and didn't understand why in the early days. I think you're seeing that change now. The collaboration announced a year ago with the BACnet committee is a big part of that, I think. It's just a problem we all have to solve, right? It's not value add, it's cost, but not value add. Let's make it so everybody can work with the data efficiently.
Well, and I think,
I apologize if you saw me looking away, but the announcement on the final program for Haystack Connect 2019 just went out while we were talking, and my email is blowing up.
All right. Well, that is awesome.
That's all
That
the
is
dinging
awesome.
you hear, and people sending me messages about the program. Like, here's one of them. Wow, this is going to be fun. So, anyways.
Well, it is going to be
Away,
fun, and I don't want to underestimate the fun part of it, because the haystackers are a lot of fun. You'll learn a lot. It's a lot of fun. John, I think the way I could maybe sum up this thing is, one of my teachers used to say that once Ford came out with the Model T, it didn't matter how good your horse and buggy was. People are going to go to the car, and I think that's what's happening here. So sort of as we wind this thing down a little bit, because my ask for everybody, I don't care whether you're a building owner, consulting engineer, an integrator, you need to be at this conference, okay? But specifically, if you are a building owner or property management, what do you need to be asking your integrators? I'm going to ask the same thing down the line. What do they need to know? What do they need to ask? How do they make sure that their system is haystack compliant? What's the ask?
Well, the first thing to ask is the integrator familiar with BACnet, and do they make a practice out of using it? Haystack. They make a practice out of using it, right? Okay. Are they knowledgeable, right? That's going to tell you something, because if they're not knowledgeable, it's not a slam on them. It means, well, they're probably not in a good position to accomplish this for you, right? And the more owners ask, the more system integrators are going to follow through. But that's really the first thing to ask. And will you apply haystack techniques to tagging all of the data in the system? And like I say, we see this as a required specification item in lots of projects now. And again, it doesn't have anything to do with me and Mark inserting ourselves into the spec process. People understand that it's a value. And you made a good point about, once the Model T came out, people didn't go back to horses. Nobody goes back after they get started with haystack. Right? They say, hey, it should do this. They get involved, but this solves the problem, and it has the widespread adoption and deployment to move forward. And I think, that's some of the things you're seeing as, industry partners have rallied around it. Let's just solve this problem for everybody.
So you got your integrator. That's a very valid question to ask him. Is he familiar with the haystack tagging? How do you make sure you get the right products in there? I mean, can you get it down to a product level? Do you add, what's the question you ask there?
Yeah, I don't think so, and I don't think you want to impose that. As I said, and let me finish the example. You can use haystack tagging on a yellow sheet of paper, right? All we can do is walk the building together, right, Eric? And we're going to write the stuff down, because there is no electronic form of it. No problem. You can use haystack tags. Now you go enter it into the software, and you've got it at that point.
Right.
Are there products that are embedding it? Absolutely. LinkSpring's Data Pump and others that are going to be pitched at the event. But that's not the limitation. You can add the tags at whatever level you need.
You want to.
The lower level you get them in, the more work you eliminate from the process. But we see people that they finally add them in on the front end. Well, guess what? That means at that level, it's all normalized, and that front end can communicate with maintenance management, work order, graphics, whatever. So I think it's more, are you familiar with it, Mr. System Integrator, and where will you be able to apply it in the products you're bringing to me?
No, I got you, and you're being pretty diplomatic about this, and I appreciate that. But for me, if I'm looking for a way to stay in the game as a manufacturer, because we sell stuff. Kenny and we're distributors, right? We get to sell Mark's products and other people's products too. But if I'm a manufacturer and I'm saying, okay, what are some of the most critical things I can do with my product to differentiate it? I mean, you're probably not going to be able to drive the cost much more, because it's dirt cheap anyway.
Commodity.
So yeah, it's a commodity, but you could drive the cost to use the product down. If I'm hearing what you guys are saying, if you got something like a data pump or something similar to that, where, hey, you can put this in, the tagging is going to take place automatically. So now that integrator is not going to have to manually do it. So if I'm a manufacturer, my ask is a distributor, hey, this isn't going away. Let's get these in your product so that our integrators want to buy that product from us, because once the lights go on, that, hey, I can cut my installation time down.
That's right. Which helps everybody. It helps the owner have a better return, and it helps the contractor make more money. This is, if you have to do this manually, it's very unproductive work, right? Nobody's going to make you rich doing tagging. It just needs to go away. And I'd say the end result is the term that was used in the computer, plug and play, right? I bought a new printer, I plugged it in, and it announced itself, and the software knew what to do with it. Okay, great. That's standards in the IT industry and the desktop industry. With Haystack, we have the ability to create devices that do that. I plug in the VAV box, it announces itself, it tells me everything about it and all its points. What I want to do with it, that's still part of the design of the control system. But all of that other work that would have had to been done is gone.
It's done.
Well, and I got to tell you something. I want you guys to explain this to our community because I've seen it happen twice with Jason Briggs and Scott Metch. And the first time I saw it in Chattanooga, and I'm still not sure I absolutely believe that this happened. It was like so magical. But these guys basically got up on stage and they connected all these disparate systems, disparate is the word I'm trying to use, and it was instantaneous almost. Explain to our community what they did, because I'm hopefully they'll do it again, but I'm going to put a video of that up because that
two times we did a plug and play, right? And the end result was the user's environment, a piece of software looking at it, whether it's graphics or reports or whatever, right? And how does the software know what the device is that's just been plugged in? The tags enable. Oh, you're an air handler. I'm going to pick and you're this type of air handler. I'm going to pick this graphic, and these says it's the valve, and it put them on the screen. And that literally did happen, right? There was some pre-coordination to make sure everybody had their stuff ready to power and network. There was more worrying about the network connection than there was about the haystack side. Right? Because the device announces itself and all its attributes. Right?
But this stuff was all around the city of Chattanooga. It wasn't like this wasn't random, like let's set up a thing. This was real life stuff. I'm going to post that video. It was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, it was. And it's still extremely valid to help people understand what we're solving for, what we're accomplishing. It's all more mature now. More people are doing it. More software applications are taking advantage of it and automatically interpreting the data, but that message is still the same as 2013 in Chattanooga. So.
Yeah, it's going to be good time. Can people still attend this conference? You guys got some spaces for them?
There's still room in for the conference. It's a great location outside of San Diego on the Paradise. It's called the let's see here, the
Paradise Resort.
Paradise Resort and Spa. When the people we work with to set it up told us that, well, what about San Diego? I thought they would joke. Yeah, of course we'd like to do it in San Diego, but that'll never happen. But it's the Paradise Point, San Diego Island Resort, a destination resort hotel. It's, again, we always try to do it an event that's self-contained. There's no need to go anywhere else. There's multiple restaurants and multiple bars and multiple food, and you just immerse yourself, because you know what, a lot of the value happens outside the sessions. People working together, they meet each other. Hey, I'm working on that problem too. I've got technology to help you. Anyways, Mark.
And I was going to say, one of the exciting things is, we spent a good amount of time talking about the value of the sessions and the true content, the business side. But, one of the things that we said early on when we first designed the Haystack Connect event is we got to have a little fun. And beside good locations, Chattanooga, Colorado Springs in the past and so forth.
Saddlebrook last time.
So, yeah, Saddlebrook. And it's on the last evening, we put on what's called the Interoperable Blues Band. And this truly, you talk about a collaborative effort. This is members of the control space, the building space, the data space, and all this. We all come together and we have a rock and roll blues fest. And many members show their wares. They pick up instruments, they play. And Mr. Petsy is an avid, very good drummer.
Half of that's correct.
Another member, Leighton Wolf, who organizes this for us.
Leighton Eric Clapton Wolf.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Clapton Wolf organizes this for us. And so what we do is we get a really good jam band locally, and then we supplement it with the folks attending the conference. And, many of us, it's, not this R&B stuff. It's good, solid rock and roll blue. Mr. Swope, I think, is going to be there.
Nice.
Jam a little bit. And one of the things that I contribute to this, beside, let's play this song or whatever occasionally, and getting a kick out of John playing the drums, is I get together the P-Talkettes, which are the backup singers for the band. And so I'm putting this call out to any and all who's listening. The P-Talkettes are looking to add to our singers. So reach out to me if you're interested. Please do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Alper,
by the way, you can sign up on the website to be part of the band. There's a page to sign up for the IBB, so you get on the list and you'll get information on the playlist, so you can come a little bit prepared. Some pictures of past events on there, but it's a tremendous amount of fun, and it ends the conference on a really high note, no pun intended.
Hey, listen, the rumor is, and I know you guys are not going to say one way or another because we wouldn't want to influence people coming for this reason alone, but the rumor is that the Rolling Stones are getting ready to do another U.S. tour, and they're going to do a warm-up session with you guys, and they're going to be the backup band. So I know you guys tonight.
That could have been true, but unfortunately, Mick has gone through a heart issue.
Heart surgery, yeah.
He just had a little operation. So
I guess it means you're going to have to take his place, Mark.
We're going to fill in for him. Yeah.
Well,
right.
the backup is Bruce Springsteen. So
yeah, I got you. If the Stones can't make it, the P-Talkettes are definitely worth checking out for sure. And Brian Turner, you don't get to be a P-Talkette. Sorry. Keeps applying for it. You can play in the band, but you can't be a P-Talkette.
There you go.
All right, boys, how do they get hold of you? Okay, so first of all, we're going to put a link, for registration there, but the main website is projecthaystack.com or org? Or?
Well, no, I mean, for the conference, it's haystackconnect.org.
Okay.
Right? There's actually 3 websites involved. That's for the event. That's where you register, learn all about the event, see the program. Project-haste.org is the technical site, but we have a new website we launched just a month ago to handle all the marketing. It's marketing.projecthaystack.org. And, it's a better place with, more graphics and stuff. The engineering site is where those guys get down to, presenting models and stuff. So this gives all the resources, guide specifications. We have a magazine, Haystack Connections. We have fantastic, issues that show what the real world is doing.
Robin Vessel is doing. Vessel's doing a fantastic job for you guys. Okay, so on a personal note, Mark, I got a question for you. So your backnet to Haystack pump, will that work with any backnet control system, or does it have to be link spring?
No, any.
Oh man, you can get those at Stromquist.com.
Absolutely.
That's controlsgroup.com. But Mark, give them the Linkspring website. I know we're talking about Haystack, but please give them the website. Cindy Crawford's asking again.
Linkspring.com. You can find anything there, or reach out to me via LinkedIn or mark.ptalk@linkspring.com.
And I told Cindy that she could not be a P-Talk yet, that those days are over. She just needs to get over it. John Petsy, how do people get hold of you?
Yeah. John at skyfoundry.com, JOHN, or John P at haystackconnect.org. How to get a hold of me. So.
Man, fellas, thanks so much, man. You guys are really doing a lot of great stuff for the industry. Appreciate what you guys are up to. Like I say, I think we're going to look back 15, 20 years from now, or 100 years from now, when they're sort of writing the history of controls, and they're going to see Project Haystack as being our version of moving from the horse and carriage to the Model T. So
last thing to you and Kenny, just from John and I and all the board of directors of Project Haystack and the community, we thank you guys for helping us get the word out.
Get the message. We couldn't do it without you guys. We couldn't.
Exactly.
So you have a key role in this. It's a community, the first year.
The part of it, and we really thank you for your efforts and,
very welcome, fellas.
Helping us get the word out.
Very, very welcome, fellas. All right, there you go. Project Haystack, man. Be there or be square. It's going to be a party, and we're going to be there.
All right,
fellas. See you later.
Thanks.
Take care. Appreciate it.
All right. Okay, so there you go, man. That was John Petsy, Mark P-Talk. Again, I think you can still get tickets to Haystack. It's getting kind of close, but definitely worth checking out. So special thanks to those guys. So another thing that's kind of going on is, Kenny and I talked about the YouTube channel, and we are putting a lot of content up on the YouTube channel. People are reaching out, they're asking for videos, and people are actually reaching out saying, hey, I've got some content I'd like to share. And an example of this is a young man out of Atlanta, Brent Burrows. Brent is with Intech, one of the rising stars in our industry. He was a young guy at the Control Trends Awards this year. And Brent said, hey, I've got some stuff I'd like to share. So he's going to do like a tech tip of the week. And you can check that out on Control Trends. He did a great job with it. But it got me thinking, there are probably a lot of people out there who have stuff that they want to share and want to say a lot of knowledge in our community. But maybe they're thinking, hey, I don't have a YouTube account, or, it's going to be a hassle or whatever. So they just never get around to it. So I have a proposition for you. And I think this would be a great give back to the community. And at the same time, it could be good for business. And here's my proposition. If you got something to say, a tech tip, an opinion or whatever, you can take your smartphone and you can either do a video of a recording of yourself doing it, or you could just do what Brent did and just do the audio only. I can tell you how to get that content to me. I'll edit it up. I'll EQ it. I'll make it sound good. I'll make it look good. I'll upload it to our YouTube channel. We'll put it on Control Trends. But best of all, we will give you credit for it. We'll tell our community who you are. We'll tell them how to get hold of you. It's a great way to get potential leads, as well as a great give back. So if you're interested in that, reach out in comments on the YouTube and say yes. And or you can reach me at hvaccontrolpro@gmail.com. That's hvaccontrolpro@gmail.com. Let me know you're interested. I can walk you through it. It'll be real simple on your part. You basically just need to share the knowledge. I'll do the rest. All right, so with that, we're going to call it a week. So appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate our guest, Mark Peacock. And see you guys in May. If not, we'll see you next week on the channel. So remember, be bold, stay in control, and stay relevant.